Okay. Now, quickly, I'm going to talk about the father of the scientific method. Now, lots of you are going to be like, oh, Louis Pasteur again. He has done basically everything that there is humanly possible to do in science. He is responsible for pasteurization. He's responsible for the sterilization method that we use in microbiology. He's been responsible for the scientific method. He's responsible for figuring out how to make good beer. You definitely love him for that.
That's my boy.
So, this is one of his quotes. And it is by way of fine-grained, reasoned, and well-ordered experiments that we force nature to reveal her secrets. None of the other methods have ever succeeded. He actually said this. So he didn't actually name it the scientific method. He was just using his own steps. And then we turned this into his method. Now he's holding this swan neck flask. And you can't see that, so in a minute I'm going to Google swan neck flask. It's a flask that is connected by glass that turns and bends and goes into this. You can see this one is cloudy. This is contaminated. This one is sterile. It's clear. So let me Google. That was one of his greatest inventions. We actually still use this technique. He was the first person to come up with the sterilization technique. Before that, we couldn't sterilize media. So if you can't sterilize media, you can't control what grows there. You can't do any tests. So this basically changed the face of microbiology.
So he was just thinking all the time.
All the time. Well, apparently he was thinking and drinking.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
So we're gonna do swan neck flasks, and we're gonna see what one looks like on the big screen so you can see. This is what it looks like here. This is one side, and sometimes there's another side. Sometimes it's only one side. You can make a double-sided swan neck flask where one side pours into the other, or you can just use this single swan neck flask to keep this media sterile. So the basis behind this was he actually liked to blow glass. So he was just in his lab one day and realized that all of his flasks that stood up tall like this, even if he closed the tops, when he came back they were cloudy, and cloudy or turbidity in microbiology means it's fungus and bacteria growing there. And he was always just so frustrated, like, what am I going to do? Now, where he got this idea to take his flask and heat the glass up and bend the glass, maybe in his mind he was thinking, if I bent the glass, they may have a hard time, the air might have a hard time traveling in, and maybe it would stay cleaner longer. He actually shocked himself because he put media in his flask and this never got turbid. It stayed sterile indefinitely. They have swan neck flasks that have been sitting around for hundreds of years that have never been tilted, that are not contaminated. It's an amazing invention. So once he learned how to sterilize and make it so that there's no microorganisms present, now he can put anything he wants to in there and grow it. And then he'll be able to test to see what grew. And that all grew from what he put in there, not from a contamination. So the way you contaminate your media in a swan neck flask is tip it. Tip your media so that it starts to go down the glass and microorganisms are on this part. So they can't bend this, so with the air and lack of moisture, they can't travel the entire way down. But if you bend the liquid to meet them and then retilt the liquid back in, it'll be contaminated. So the whole point about this is you don't tilt this if you want it sterile. And if you want to go ahead and use it, you don't tilt it and pour it out. You pop this glass.
Really?
Right. So you basically, if you do tilt, you will contaminate what you're using. So you can, but it's just glass, just blown glass. So you can actually just blow, literally just burn the little top off, and you can put a stopper in.
Oh, okay.
So this is just to sterilize your media. But you still have to test it. So this is what he decided to do. He was pondering in his lab, And what he was pondering was, he was trying to figure out how in the world he's going to make the best beer. All of his beer started tasting sour, acidy. Acidic. This is just not my day, is it? Oh, jeez. That is so funny. I've been at work since about 9 this morning, but you have too. And you're not using all these weird words. Okay, so his students came to him and was like, dude, you know, we can never get consistent beer. So he was like, let me see. Let me see if I can do something with my swan neck flask. He actually figured out the process of fermentation too, if you've ever heard of this term. He's coined for figuring fermentation out. What didn't he do? Okay. So this is what he did. He noticed that when he was trying to grow and ferment his yeast, that if he stopped it too early, it wasn't enough alcohol and it was flat. So he's making his observations, right? If he let it go too long, he ended up essentially with wine or really nice expensive vinegar. So he's right in between. He's like, I got flat, gross, yeasty stuff or some acidic stuff. I want to be right here in the middle where the good beer is, unless I'm trying to produce vinegar or wine, which he wasn't. He was trying to make beer. So this is what he decided to do. He decided to go to the research and try to find out what other people said is the problem. And believe it or not, he went to Antoine Lavoisier, which is also a popular name in science. And Lavoisier had already previously done something like this. But look what he said. He said, fermentation is when a process in which sugar is broken down into carbon dioxide and water and alcohol only just by heating it. So I can take some sugar and heat it in some water, and then I'm going to get carbon dioxide and alcohol from that. Have you?
So I gotta go and try that.
Yeah, if that works, then we wouldn't need fermentation.
Yes.
We better get paid.
So Pasteur said that don't sound right, because I've heated up plenty of sugar water then turn into beer. Right? So he said, okay, that doesn't sound right, but that's what they thought fermentation was at that moment, at that time. So he said, that don't sound right. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to use a microscope and look at my bad beer and my good beer. And what he noticed was, in the good beer, he had all these nice little plumpy things. And that was yeast. He may not have known what they were then. And then he noticed he had these little bitty circles that were swimming in there with that when the beer tastes disgusting. So nice beer had these, and the beer that tastes disgusting was bacteria and fungus.
That must be Budweiser.
All right. So now he has to figure out a way to grow what? Separate from the
Bacteria.
right. Now, hence his creation of the swan neck flask. So all of this stuff, he's like making all these landmark, inventions just to get beer. But we use that.
He's early 20s.
He looked pretty old from that picture. Okay, so what he said was, he said yeast. He said that something is growing in there, and that must be taking the sugar and then producing this good alcohol I want. Because they're always there when the alcohol tastes good.
Sure.
Then he says, bacteria are eating my sugar and producing something that tastes really bitter and acidic. This was his hypothesis. But now he has to design an experiment where he can actually test whether or not the yeast and bacteria combination is doing this. So now, believe it or not, now he has to discover pasteurization. This is all just to get good beer. So he says, well, how in the world am I going to grow the yeast by themselves? Okay, got that. I got a swan neck flask, check. But how am I going to grow the bacteria and the yeast together without the bacteria making too much acid? So he's pondering this. He said, oh, I got it. I'll heat shock them. And that's what pasteurization is. So when you pasteurize milk and juice, you're actually checking the load. You're actually balancing the load. You're not killing the bacteria. You want them to create an acid, because the acid helps the production of your product. But too much acid makes it spoil. So you want to heat check them, and that is what pasteurization is. So it's turning them up, turning the heat up very high, and then lots of the bacteria die, and then taking the heat away, and then some of the bacteria grow, and then heating them up again, and then lots of the bacteria die. So you are actually letting them produce only a little bit at a time. And that we still use that process. So here's his experiment. And you can see where he establishes his controls. He's going to start with a sugar solution. Okay, so we're just going to do sugar and water, right? We're going to boil this because he knows that boiling kills most living things. And in this case, it'll kill a lot of fungus and bacteria. So he boiled it, and it ended up killing everything, which is fine because nothing grew in his swan neck flask. So he knew it was sterile. There was nothing there. He killed everything. And this became his what? Yeah. So if anything grows in there, then something's wrong. This shouldn't ferment anything. This is just sterile water is what he's saying. No alcohol and no acid. It's just sterile. Oh, he has the double swan neck flask there. All right. Now, he's going to add yeast and bacteria to the sterile flask with the sugar solution. This becomes his what? Yeah. So he's saying, I'm going to add yeast, add bacteria, add sugar. That's going to be my positive control. I should get bad alcohol because that's what I've been getting. Is bacteria, yeast, bad alcohol. So he made a positive control. His experiment was he added yeast and the pasteurized bacteria, the one that he allowed to grow and then die, and then grow and then die, because they produced what? Less acid. He put those in a sterile solution of sugar, and he got great beer. He got great alcohol. So this actually formed what we now call the scientific method. Just his thinking process throughout this. And so meticulous. And so many little checks, marked off. So many bullet points marked off. And it seems so simple now, but back then that's a lot to think of and a lot to kind of figure out. And along the way, he just happened to create the sterile technique. He happened to create pasteurization. And fermentation. Man, I wish I could do one experiment and just set me straight. Like 3 things that are forever used. And from now on out, we get great beer. All right.